This is Lavender Recap. In today's video, we'll be going through an American mystery thriller and true crime movie which took place between the years 1968 and 1983 called Zodiac. Spoilers ahead. The movie starts with a shooting which took place on July 4th, 1969 at Lover's Lane in Vallejo, California. Darlene Ferrin and Mike Mago are shot several times by an unknown man. Darlene dies and Mike is the only one who survives. After shooting Darlene and Mike, the killer calls 911 and reports his action to the police. 4 weeks later, a letter of the killer arrives at the San Francisco Chronicle Newspaper office. This would be the first of many encrypted letters written by the Zodiac Killer. Along with the encrypted letter, there was a demand that the letter should be published in a newspaper or he will kill again. Paul Avery, the journalist and crime reporter for the San Francisco Chronicle, soon begins with investigations. The encrypted letter also catches the eye of the political cartoonist named Robert Graysmith. Robert accurately guesses that the identity of the killer is not in the letter, but he's not taken seriously by Avery and he excludes him from the initial details of the crime. Eventually, a history teacher cracks the encryption. Many more cipher letters are sent by the Zodiac Killer to the Chronicle, and it was difficult to decipher all the letters for the police. Graysmith tries to decipher the letters by reading books from the library. Avery keeps making fun of Graysmith, but after Graysmith decoded the letter, Avery starts to share more information. Graysmith finds out that the letter is the Zodiac's reference to the movie The Most Dangerous Man, which refers to the most dangerous animal, a man who hunts human prey. In September 1969, at Lake Berryessa in Napa County, the Zodiac Killer strikes again and two people, Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard, got shot. Shepard dies due to her injuries while Hartnell survives the attack. After the attack, Zodiac sends a new letter to the Chronicle in which he calls a man the most dangerous animal of all. 2 weeks later, in the city's Presidio Heights district, a cab driver, Paul Stein, was shot and killed by the Zodiac. The Zodiac Killer then mails the pieces of Stein's blood-stained shirt to the Chronicle along with another astonishing letter. San Francisco police then assign this case to two of their detectives, Dave Toshi and his partner Bill Armstrong. A letter comes up with the Zodiac Killer stating that he plans to attack city school buses. On October 22, 1969, less than 2 weeks after the slaying of the cab driver, someone claiming to be the Zodiac calls into a morning talk show requesting to have a conversation with lawyer Melvin Belli. The Zodiac Killer agrees on the name Sam. Melvin asks, "Sam, you need to tell me what your problem is." And he answers, "I don't want to go to the gas chamber. I have headaches, severe headaches." Melvin asks how long he has been having these headaches. "Talk to us, tell us what's going inside you right now. Please, Sam." "I've had headaches for a long time since I killed a kid." As Melvin asks further, the call drops. Given into Melvin's request to meet, Sam says to go to a church in Daly City. Melvin and the SFPD rush to the scene, but it's soon revealed that the caller is someone from a mental institution. Even Brian Hartnell, a survivor, confirms the voice doesn't belong to the man who shot them at Lake Berryessa. During 1969 and 1970, Zodiac sends more letters to Melvin Belli and the Chronicle. Once again, the purpose of the letters is taunting the police and to claim responsibility for a number of incidents. The Chronicle decides to stop publishing the letters as Avery questions the Zodiac's intentions and truthfulness. Avery also confides to Graysmith that the gun sight symbol on the letters appears to have been copied from the symbol of the Zodiac brand of watch. Meanwhile, Avery started writing a number of interesting stories about the Zodiac and is even rewarded for these stories with a personal letter from the Zodiac along with a piece of the cab driver's bloody shirt. Avery tries to find out more about the Zodiac and meets with an unspecified source in Riverside, California. He thinks he has found evidence of the Zodiac's first murder victim. Toshi and Armstrong reach Riverside to do more investigation. Although the evidence was almost similar, Toshi and Armstrong don't accept it, does not match to the killer. However, Avery's story succeeded in convincing much of the audience except Toshi. And many people are claiming to know the Zodiac's identity after Avery's article. Of all the interviews, a man named Arthur Lee Allen sounds promising. Toshi, Armstrong, and Mullinax question Lee, but this doesn't bring them any further. As they have a strong suspicion of Lee, they interview Lee's family who even turn over handwriting samples for study. Sherwood Morrill examines the handwritten sample with that of the killer's writing, but doesn't find any connection or match between the two. Eventually, they find out that Lee was moved to Santa Rosa. A warrant is issued by the Santa Rosa PD and Toshi and Armstrong search Lee's trailer. Lee arrives home and they take a new handwriting sample and check his fingerprints, but none of these match the information of the Zodiac file. Toshi was annoyed because he was confident of Lee being the Zodiac Killer. 1975, 4 years later, life has changed. Graysmith remarried and has restarted a family. Paul Avery has quit the Chronicle and has started working for the Sacramento Bee. Dave Toshi is totally surprised when his partner Bill Armstrong tells him he's quitting homicide and is moving over to the fraud department. Throughout these 4 years, the Zodiac Killer has kept himself quiet. Graysmith's wife, Melanie, reminds him that he still has all the Zodiac stuff he's collected over the years. After seeing this, Graysmith visits Avery to tell him that he wants to write a book about the Zodiac, but Avery doesn't seem interested and disappoints Graysmith by saying that he has lost all of the information related to the killer. Graysmith hurries towards Dave Toshi. Toshi claims he can't help, but he quietly tells him to ask for Ken Narlow in Napa. After some time of silence, Narlow asks Graysmith to go through the Napa police's evidence on the case of Darlene Theron and Mike Mageau. After some thorough investigation, Graysmith reaches Toshi again to tell him that Darlene seemed to have a number of admirers and it might be possible the Zodiac is one of them. On the night Darlene was murdered, she received suspicious phone calls with some heavy breathing on the line. All this information makes Graysmith believe the killer knew Darlene. Graysmith wants to meet Darlene's sister, but Toshi also recommends him to reach Melvin Belly. While he's waiting for the lawyer to come, one of his housekeepers informs Graysmith that the Zodiac talked to her. When Melvin Belly was not home, the Zodiac informed the housekeeper that he had to kill because it was his birthday that day. Taking this evidence, Graysmith narrows down the dates from December 18th through the 20th, and due to the recommendation of Toshi, he checks the Department of Justice for information, but he doesn't get much help from it. Soon after, Graysmith receives a call claiming that Rick Marshall is a real Zodiac Killer, and another man named Bob Vaughn has filmed canisters with evidence showing Rick as the Zodiac Killer. Graysmith talks with Sherwood Morrill about fingerprints and handwriting samples of the killer. Meanwhile, Sherwood tells how a man named Wallace Penny told him a man named Rick Marshall was the Zodiac. The fact that the man who called him also spoke to Sherwood shocks him. Back at the Chronicle, Toshi rushes in as he's informed that the department has received the first new Zodiac letter in 4 years. Some people accuse Toshi of faking the letter for publicity, and he's kicked out of the homicide division. Graysmith tries to speak to him, but Toshi refuses to answer any questions about Rick Marshall. To speak with Ken Narlow, Graysmith goes up to Napa, and Narlow tells how he had interviewed Rick Marshall but didn't get any fingerprints of his handwriting samples. In the hope of finding Marshall, Graysmith calls up Morrill and gets the number of Wallace Penny. Penny sends Graysmith one of the posters that Rick Marshall drew for his silent movie house. Morrill does see some small similarities to Zodiac but needs more information. Until now, the Zodiac case has consumed Graysmith's personal life. He loses his job at the Chronicle, and due to the fear of the Zodiac, his wife takes the kids and leaves the house. Someone also has been calling Graysmith's phone number and is answering with heavy breathing. Robert Graysmith continues trying to search Darlene Theron's sister Linda for help, but also asks Bob Vaughn for help. Vaughn knew Rick Marshall as a theater projectionist a long time ago. When he inquires about the posters, Bob claims that he drew all the posters, not Rick. This doesn't bring him any further. Graysmith finally meets Darlene's sister Linda, who's in prison. Robert asks her about a painting party where Linda was discomforted by a person. Before getting any reply from Linda, Graysmith was convinced that it was Rick Marshall, but Linda claims that it wasn't Rick, it was a person named Lee. It's clear to Graysmith that she means Arthur Lee Allen. He rushes to Dave Toshi's house in the middle of the night. Toshi's not keen about this, but they go for some food while they talk about all the suspicious people who might be the Zodiac Killer. They claim that the killer might be Arthur Lee Allen, but Toshi tells Graysmith there is no proof for that, and Graysmith is left speechless. Toshi still encourages him to finish the book that he was writing of the Zodiac. Now the movie moves forward to December of 1983. Robert walks into a hardware store in Vallejo and finds him face to face with Arthur Lee Allen. All he can do is stare, and he exits the store. In 1991, 8 years later, authorities invited Mike Mageau and showed him a number of mugshots. On investigating which of these men most likely be the Zodiac, he points out Arthur Lee Allen. The end. Let us know what you think of this movie in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you're new to the channel.